I mean, you got to do that. Or
I think.
Where's my cocaine? Are we on? Oh, sorry.
All right. Welcome back, traders. We are back. Everything's late. Nobody dies. Episode number 62.
That is true. Yes, lucky 62. It's lucky 62.
Well, it's luckier than 61.
It is because it's one more.
Nice. Nice.
This episode brought to you by Confused Camera Angles, which we had just a moment ago, which we didn't go live with that, but
Also brought to you by House of Mics, where you can get your own mic.
You can get your own mic. The Mic Adoption Center. The Michael Recycle. I got a Michael. What am I going to do with him? There you go. Hi.
Hello, comic fan. Marvin, I was going to bring one of your books and throw it up here today. I've been reading the Edge graphic novel. Very cool stuff.
Oh,
very cool stuff.
Probably have one out there.
I'm sure you do.
I do, actually.
I got like a nice little stack of them.
These guys are already talking.
Nice.
Divided by egos. I know. I tell people to leg up my ego. Get away from my waffle. You're dividing me. I don't like it. So I'm in a mood today. I'm sorry. I don't know what kind of mood I'm in, but I'm in a mood.
Evan, how's it going?
Hey, Evan.
Long time no see.
Yeah, I know. It's
been a few days.
It's been several dozen hours, man.
So yeah, we're talking about comic book communities. So I've been thinking with the hiatus that I took that I should maybe look into, if we're going to continue doing a podcast, revamping it a little bit. I've gotten some input from a few friends, and I'm going to go back to doing kind of a regular topic and getting input from the community. So I asked the question.
Well, if they criticize you, they're not really friends.
Or some would say they are the most honest, the best friends.
Yeah, they're not really friends.
Yeah, the whole fuckers. So
you look weird today.
I feel weird today.
See, I'm not a friend by saying that, am I? No. That's not cool.
I'll cry silently with my mic later.
Juicing again.
So what we're going to do is I am going to be adding back in more content on the channel, doing like a Friday what's happening around Utah and in the comics world, or the nerd world, because we're going to encompass role-playing games and some of the other stuff I'm interested in as well. And with that, on the Friday thing, we will ask whatever question it is that we're going to be covering the following week, getting input from you guys, and that way we can address what people want to hear.
There you go.
Instead of just rambling on for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not really good at taking direction, but let's give it a shot.
That is true. That is true.
I think you all know that by now.
So
we got a whole ego discussion. What have I done?
I do like a good ego.
Well,
Yeah. Cinnamon flavored Eggos.
Yeah.
They're actually pretty.
If you don't let go of them, then you will bite your hand.
Yeah.
But you'll eat a fork. That's not good.
Get aggressive with the Legos.
There you go.
All right. With the Legos. Lego aggression. So the question was, I getting feedback from people in the community about how you hear a lot about comic book communities, and they have a pretty strong comic book community in Portland, the Portland Comic Crew. We get a lot of those guys in our chat as well. And we do have a real strong community in Utah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just, and we've got a lot of input. And I think it's the same with someplace like a Portland, to some extent Seattle. I think a lot of that Seattle has moved down towards Portland, maybe even Northern California a bit. Upstate New York's got a real strong one. Jersey's pretty strong. Places like that. Florida's huge. But in Utah, we're lucky enough that we have fantastic creators who love the fans, who our creators are, and you don't get this all the time, but our creators read as well.
Yeah. Well, I think, I think a big important piece of that whole situation is they're not there's so many of these guys now that are, rock stars, and, and they almost have their own entrance music. You know what I mean? It's like, my God, come on, please. Seriously, you're not. At the end of the day, I mean, as much as I love comics, at the end of the day, you're drawing very unrealistic, weird stuff. You're writing silly things a lot of the time. It's like, come on, man. Let's not. It's not. I hate to borrow that, but why are you so serious? Why? Why? Why, man?
Right.
You're not a rock star. Okay, you are somebody, and if you're in it for that, I think you're in it for the wrong reason. And I like the fact that most of the local people here are in it for that. They're not in it to be rich. They're not in it to get a TV series. They're not in it to,
although a couple of those have come out of Utah.
Although they have, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, that's not why they're in it. They're in it because it's like, oh, I like to draw or I like to write, and I love this medium, which I really like that about this. You go to Comic-Cons, and man, you can just tell by walking by somebody, who's like, who's really in it for the art and for the enjoyment, and who's in it to be big.
Right. Oh yeah, that is for sure.
And most of the people that are in it to be big don't get big, and then they disappear. They just go away.
And it's funny. Comic book girl Callie, a very good friend of the channel, gets starstruck whenever we do these conventions and stuff with like the local guys, because that's who she reads a ton of.
Yeah.
And they're so accessible. I mean, I was in here having a great conversation with Mike Lovins the other day about modern artists.
I have to say Michael, because I always think you're saying McLovin. Like, that's not a real ID.
And one artist in particular that I'm just not a huge fan of. Other people are, but I'm not a real huge fan of wife stealers or whatever. But I think that a lot of our guys are just as talented without the attitude.
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and it's we get, of course, as we talked about before, we've got a local section up there, you get a lot of local books up there, a lot of people that, and I always encourage that, if they come in and they're like, hey, what do I need to do to get my book up there? What do I have to do? And I'm like, make it.
Yeah.
Make it. Make sure it's not racist and homophobic and horrible, and you don't do terrible things and glamorize it, and we're good to go.
Right.
It's fine. Just do it. And that has happened a lot. There have been people that have just talked about it, and I'm like, yeah, well, we'll see if they go through with it. And then they bring it in and say, here, I printed off the first issue. We sell it. And I love that stuff. That's great.
Printed it right in their basement on their old mimeograph machine.
Yes. Yeah. Like seriously, and that's great. That's fine. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what I like, is that kind of ground level grassroots comic community situation where they are just so excited to have anything made, and they're like, yeah, here, I got these. I don't know if you can sell them or not. If you can't, that's fine. What do you want to sell them for? I don't care. Give them away. Just let people read. You know what I mean? And yeah. And I had somebody call the other day that said, they were a local creator, and they said that they wanted to bring some stuff in for Free Comic Day. We get that quite a bit. And I think that's great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And of course I'll flip through it and make sure there's no super objectionable stuff.
Right.
I don't want to be selling Captain Nazi. That ain't gonna fly with me, But I mean, we gotta make sure. But for the most part, everybody is, really on board and really good with it. So
yeah. As long as you like match the social contract of what we're doing here, for sure.
Yeah. There are local creators I don't want to deal with. No, there's only like
there are a few,
maybe one or two.
There are a few divas walking around.
Yeah, but for the most part, like 99.5% of everybody around here is great.
Yeah. So Comics Fan, people had more time to socialize during the pandemic. YouTube has channels, chats, maybe communities for comic book collectors. YouTube has really been integral, at least for my comic journey of the last 3-4 years. Of course, when I decided to get back into it, the first channel I went to was Comic Tom. And I mean, I'm not friends with Tom, but I'm friendly. We've exchanged a few conversations, and great guy. But that led me to Bueller. You've met Travis, who I consider a good friend. Bob is a good friend. And yeah, the community that comics foster, all of us being these outcasts that read funny books, has been life-saving to a lot of people, especially during the horrors of the pandemic.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I spent, during the pandemic, I spent, a lot of time in chat rooms too. They weren't this kind.
Yeah.
Lonely. No. No. It's funny because I don't even really watch. I know we're doing a YouTube show, and that's really stupid for me to say this, but I don't even really watch comic book YouTube.
A lot of people don't.
I don't. And I mean, I watch our show because it's great.
It is great. You should subscribe.
I should. You're right. I should. Yeah, but yeah, and it's so. Yeah, I agree with that though, because what are you going to do? I mean, people are stuck at home.
Right.
There's no.
We couldn't even come to the comic shop. How long were you closed during the pandemic?
I wasn't closed.
You didn't close at all? Now I know you were doing masked curbside.
We had mask. We had curbside. We had decreased hours. We're like noon to 5 every day.
But you didn't actually close the doors.
We didn't actually close the doors. No.
I don't think Dave did either.
No, I don't think
Dave went right in because they stopped shipping books.
Right.
And that lasted about 2 months.
A month or two, maybe.
Yeah. A couple months. And then distribution was jacked up for another year and a half after that.
If you went a year and a half, you mean another 4.5? Is that what you meant? No, it's still going on.
Yeah.
It's still a mess.
But and I think
we just had to talk to that guy, that was looking for Gargoyle of Gotham #3. I'm like, yeah, we'll be out till the end of May. It's #3, and it's a 4-issue series. It's going to take over a year to happen.
Wow.
Because 4 isn't even solicited yet, man.
That's crazy.
And it's like, and I said, well, a lot of this stuff is that it's, and just trying to explain to him, a lot of this stuff they don't complete before they solicit it, which I think is a huge mistake. And again, as I said over there when we were talking before the show, it's one thing I really love about Doug Wagner's stuff is it's complete. It's done before it's solicited. It's a 5-issue series. 5 issues are done. Bam. Or, however many issues.
And that's one advantage to the locals. Mike did the same. Like he was on his schedule, and when his graphic novel came out, it was an easy transition into that.
Yeah.
All of our local guys are pretty good in keeping up to somewhat of a schedule.
Well, and it's like, and that's the thing that's crazy about it is the local guys shouldn't be the ones that can keep a schedule, because it's a second and third job from them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like somebody works at the movie theater and I don't know, delivers DoorDash and also does comics, or, I don't know, whatever. There's a lot of people that do that. There's a lot of people that have, high level professional jobs that are like, yeah, I want to do this too. Work for the college, or work for the U, or, whatever. And, they're the ones that shouldn't be on a schedule, but they seem to maintain it a little better than the professionals where that's their job.
Well, and I think part of that, not to get too far off track, part of that is obviously some of the distribution issues as well. Because Diamond has a unique way of handling indie books.
Yeah.
Which isn't always reasonable or fair.
Yeah, that's true. But, another thing though is, sometimes you get cover B this week.
Right.
Next week or the week after, you'll get cover A. So people don't really know when anything's coming out. If I've got 40 copies of something that I've ordered, 20 copies of A, 20 copies of B, and I have 18 people that have it on their hold, I can only fill with that one cover. There's 2 for the shelf, and then it looks like it's sold out, or it didn't even come out.
Right.
So then 2 weeks later, I get a different cover. It's like, now, do I have? Can I sell these now? It's kind of a mess. And that's what I was trying to tell this guy before: is the distribution system is so fractured right now that it's a problem with that. So it's really, really tough to keep any sort of schedule with anything. Like, I don't know what I'm getting next week until I get emailed that invoice.
Yeah,
I do not know.
That's just insane.
It really is.
And I think Marvin here is addressing mainly the YouTube communities. I think when you get face to face with people, things are a lot different, of course.
Yeah.
But those communities still exist. The problem is people are now divided by egos. And that's something that we're seeing a lot on not just YouTube, but in the social media groups and things like that. A lot of, and I think that's because things blew up so big at the beginning of the pandemic. Everybody started a YouTube channel.
Everybody was a superstar.
And,
everybody's a superstar.
Yeah. And then we went back to what is normal. And now they have to try to maintain and keep that status that they had.
Right.
And there's no way. There's no
way. I mean, there's so many channels. People have to work.
Yeah.
People have lives, I mean, there are some people that just sit and watch YouTube all freaking day. I get that.
Right.
But there's not going to be, you're not going to get 1 million views in a month anymore if you're doing that.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And it's divided by a lot of things. Ego. There's these, I wasn't going to say anything at all about this, except I will say I'm afraid that this situation that happened on the 1st of April, that I think we all know what I'm talking about,
right,
is going to divide the comics community and creators even more. Because there are some people that are saying things about that situation where I'm like, oh boy, and there's other people getting called out, and they're like, you bullied this guy, so now we're going to bully you, and it's like that's not the way this is supposed to work.
Right. And that's getting thrown out a lot. There's another prominent comic book YouTuber that joined a channel and then said some things that didn't fall in line with the edicts of that channel.
Mm-hmm.
And you're entitled to your opinion. You go on your channel and say what you want. But if you're going to go and be part of something that's already established, don't bring your, misogyny and bigotry with you if that's not their brand.
You should probably respect what they're doing.
Yeah, respect their brand.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of that goes on.
Yeah.
Sleepy Readers. Yeah, Damien's channel is fantastic. I don't think he gets enough credit. He's probably, in my opinion, the best comic book YouTuber out there. But he's got no agendas, very cool stuff. Very positive show.
Well, second best. Look how exciting I am today. I'm just tired. I'm just in the mood. I don't know. There's something going on today. I don't know, but whatever.
Well, and Evan says I have a slow schedule, but it's a schedule. You've got a few extenuating circumstances.
You got some other things happening, Evan. I think it's going to be okay.
We'll forgive that for sure. Evan, of course, creator of Wasatch Wonders. And that's a blast to read. If you're not in Utah, you need a copy of Wasatch Wonders. Shoot me a message, and we'll get one out to you.
We got them. We can get them.
Very cool stuff. I still have a few of the C3 Comics Curing Cancer blank covers for issue number 1. So if you want a blank cover, get one of these amazing Utah artists to do a sketch of a wonder on it for you, something like that.
I'll do a sketch that's a wonder.
Greg will do a wonderful sketch.
It'll be something. It'll be something. That is for sure. Yeah. These freaking kids on their phones, man. What are you texting somebody? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Steve.
Oh.
I asked this question in our local Utah group, and Steve Baum, who is kind of a staple, especially in northern Utah comic scene. I know he's been in here quite a bit as well. And his comment was Utah has a stronger community than Florida, which kind of came as a surprise because they've got a huge comic community in Florida. said where he moved back from. Everyone I've met's been great. The comic shops have all got really good stuff, which is true. Our comic shops are, every single one of you bring something different.
I was going to say that I think the reason for that is we're also different.
Yeah, very different shops. It's an awesome to be within easy driving distance of 6 well-stocked comic shops. Utah, definitely a comic collector's honey hole. So if you're not in Utah,
comic collector's what?
Honey hole.
That's what I thought you said. Okay. Sorry. Wow.
And then he goes on to plug his convention up in Ogden. I'm going to get with Steve and Rudy, and we'll look at his. You just can't get over Honey Hole, can you? All right.
This podcast is rated PG-13 for brief nudity, some language, and one honey
and
hole.
A honey hole. And I want to apologize to Evan right now. I'm sorry that you're sitting through Greg, but
yeah,
you know
me.
But yeah, that we are lucky. We talked about the local creators, but our comic shops, we've got Greg's got on display. Just walk in, thumb through the boxes, the largest selection of back issues. And
much like Leon in Airplane, it's getting larger. I'm expanding.
Yeah, it's insane.
As the store gets older and as I get older, we both expand a little bit. Things will happen, you know.
I mean, the nerd store, the Dr. Bolts. I think everybody's pretty much on an even kill as far as current issues. You get a lot more of the real underground.
I was going to say I probably get a lot more of the
deep dive,
really smaller press stuff.
Yeah, I would say for sure.
You know, because that's all I deal with. I don't have to worry about the other stuff. So,
Honey Hole equals comic shop that sells gun honey, and they all do. They all
do. Mm-hmm. That also refers to a few of the covers.
You know, some of the best gun honey covers. Some of the best covers for that book are a Utah-based company, Hive. The best gun honey covers.
I don't know. They both moved. Are they Utah based anymore?
Oh, Jonathan, like James, screw that guy. But Jonathan, I love you, James. We love James.
Yeah, he moved too.
I know, but I was just saying, screw James.
Yeah. Oh, okay, fair enough. Honey hole.
Yeah, honey hole.
Oh boy, I should have brought something for this.
But yeah, and our comic shops, our owners know what they're doing. I mean, I've been we drove 80 back to Illinois, stopped at every comic shop along the way. I think you've done that too before, because we've discussed some of the similar shops.
Not quite to that extent, but I have done that.
But I hit every comic shop on 80. I would say 75% of them, either the owner of the shop that was there or the person that they hired to work the counter knew nothing about comic books.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty common.
You know, I think a lot of people get into this thinking, you know, not necessarily even on the creative side, but in the retail side. I think a lot of people get into it thinking, oh my God, comics are huge. Look at all the movies. I'm going to make so much money doing this. And they don't quite realize that the profit margin is razor thin with these things.
Right.
You know, it is, as I've said before, it's a long game. It's a numbers game. You have to sell a whole lot of little things, you know, to make that kind of money. I don't know anybody that has a shop that's rolling around in cash, except maybe, you know, John Torpedo, but he's got a side gig, you know, playing drums for a multi-platinum band. So, you know, he gets a little bit
or Mile High. But then you have to sell your $5 back issue for $20.
Exactly. You know, and you do that, which I refuse to do. So that's ain't going to happen. I'm sorry. You know, but I think a lot of people were like, oh, wow, well, you know, I'll get into this. I don't need to know anything about it. You know, I don't need to do anything. They sell themselves. It's almost like a pyramid scheme. you know, and they're like, okay, man, I can open up this account, open up that account, I can get this going. People just come in with pockets full of money and just throw it at me and say, give me all your comic books.
Well,
it's not how it goes.
And I mean, there's from a shop owner's perspective, and this is why, like we've had this discussion before, why I will never open another shop. Mm-hmm. There's a hustle, like you and Roger and Charles and all of you are constantly hustling.
Yeah, you got to work. Constantly. It's not.
I mean, even to do what James and Jonathan do, like they're constantly talking to distributors, constantly in meetings, constantly going,
they don't even
flying away from the family to go to conventions.
They have an online store.
Yeah.
They don't have a physical brick and mortar location.
I mean,
and they're still doing that.
Yeah. Like and then like, God forbid you get a big collection in and you have to sort through all that. And like, it's insane.
Oh my God, man. I mean, you can see how much I've gotten through.
Yeah.
In the last several months, but I mean, we're still kicking through those things, and that's, we will be expanding again. Actually, next week, I'll have more boxes out there full of stuff.
That's nuts.
It never stops. And then it seems like there's always somebody trying to sell comics. Always.
Right.
Well, not a day that goes by that I don't get at least 5 connections with people trying to sell me their stuff.
And it's a huge buyer's market right now.
Yeah. And people don't realize that. They get very, very upset when they come in and they, with somebody in yesterday that, I'm like, well, I can't give you money for these. They're all, they have stickers on them. They have, somebody put price stickers on them. Like, I get 2 boxes of stuff here. I think you're like $50, $60 maybe, they're going to go in the quarter boxes. And they're like, oh, no. That's we can't take that little for it. I'm like, but they're not worth anything.
Right.
You had a couple of 90s books that were like, okay, no key books or anything, but they're not worth anything. And people don't realize that, they just feel like, oh, well, it's a comic book, it's going to be worth money. And that is not the way it works.
Well, and that's another thing that I saw in my travels going to all these comic shops was you can tell the shops are run by comic book people.
Yeah.
Because you go in and they will have, reasonably priced back issues and whatnot.
Right.
And then you go into others and they think that everything's worth a minimum of $5.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case.
Well, I was talking to a guy not too long ago that went to a shop out of state and everything was in increments of $5. Everything, no matter what it was, everything they had started at $5.
Yeah.
Every back issue.
Yeah, and what I tell people when they ask me the value of books is or the question is, does this book have value?
Mm-hmm.
Every single book has value except for John Carter or Mars, but everything else has value.
$4 minus the 10%.
No, it's not.
Do you know how many of those things I've sold?
The one I bought.
Yeah. I mean, kind of. But whatever. Yeah.
But everything has value, but you don't necessarily get to assign that value.
Right.
There's a lot of value in your quarter boxes. Like I can get a full run of some 90s Image and read a great story and look at some cool art, but it's not worth more than a quarter a book.
Unless it's Youngblood.
Okay. Whatever works for you.
It's okay. I know I'm right. It's fine.
And Tommy says, in bars, you get more customers with a pretty lady behind the counter, but the customers don't usually ask when certain wine is arriving. Very true.
Yeah, I don't get nearly as many customers with me behind the counter. It's like in comic shops, and if you go in and the person behind the counter is not pretty, then okay, yeah, we know we're in there.
I don't know, Becky's pretty.
There you go. Just put it back in neutral. Oh my God. That head is going to get so big it's going to explode all over my back issues, and then you're going to have to buy them.
Old Marvels, John Carters are still nice. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
That was a great series.
Yeah.
Great series. I forgot I was going to say something like really deep and poignant, and I don't remember. It was about the honey hole. No, it was not.
No. Don't.
No.
Don't make me say what I was going to say. Anyway, yeah, we need a topic, and it's not going to be that.
And so you've got the local creators, which we're really strong with here. The shops that know what they're doing, that cater, that love comic books, cater to the hobby itself, and the community itself, the comic collectors. Like, we have some of the best collectors in the area, like people that just love, like, I've had heated, passionate conversations in here about Batman versus Superman.
Batman is the answer.
No. I think we came to the conclusion that Superman would be the answer there, but that was mostly.
You're right. He is the worst. Yeah,
the two of us against you.
Yeah, you're right. Superman definitely is the bottom of the barrel. You're correct. You're right.
I think Superman's probably the greatest superhero ever created. Like, he's got everything that...
Okay, first off, he's here illegally.
Okay.
He's an illegal immigrant.
All
he
right.
has crashed in Kansas and was like, oh, here I am. I don't need to follow the rules.
Okay. So,
that's good.
If you want to come in,
somebody to bring that up during the presidential debate.
if you want to come in, Greg will be the one with the red hat.
Oh no! Oh my God! Don't ever say that. What is wrong with you? Stop it.
Keep them out. Build a wall around Kansas.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Wall around small.
A wall of blood, so he can't see where he's going. There you go.
Yeah, I'm watching Smallville again. Rewatching Smallville.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the funny thing about Smallville. Okay, I tried watching that, and I started. I do not have a red hat. Everybody needs to know that.
What?
Anyway, I do not. Have a red hat.
Yeah, he does.
My God, about farthest from it that you can get.
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah.
So okay, we just need to clear that up before we go on. Oh my God. Jeez. Although somebody did make, I don't know if you saw that on my not the store, but my Facebook page a long time ago. Somebody made a graphic of it, put it on the cat logo. It was a red hat, and it was a MAGA hat, but it said "Make America Greg Again," which I thought was really funny.
That's funny.
So yeah, Superman married a U.S. citizen. Oh, okay, you're right.
That is true.
That is true. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, Batman. I mean, Batman. Yeah, Batman's a moody, meh guy. He's mentally ill. He's insane. But I don't know. I just like Batman better. That's all there is to it. Anyway, what were you saying?
No, I just mentioned that I had started watching Smallville.
Oh, again. Smallville. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. So yeah, I tried watching Smallville. When it was on, I was like, oh, I'll check it out. I like the old Superman movies. Sure. So I tried watching Smallville, and I tuned in. There was one episode, I can't remember what. All I remember is Lex Luthor getting out of the car and like talking to somebody. I'm like, nice hair. And then he just talks to somebody, and he's like, whatever. And I'm like, okay, it's okay, I guess. It's all right. And then like the next week I tuned in, and it was a rerun. It was the same episode. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do this. I want to watch more than one, so I gave it a while. A couple months later, I guess it was after the season ended, I turned I swear to God, it was the same episode. I saw the same episode 3 times, and that's all I've ever seen of it. It was not bad. It was okay. But not being a Superman fan, I didn't do much for me. But it was okay.
I went into it originally being a huge Superman fan, not really caring a lot for it because what was that, 22 years ago? So I was in my early 30s.
Early 50s.
Yeah. And so I was a little bit older than the average WB
Shirtless Boy Network fan.
Yeah. And so recently I started watching, but I enjoyed it enough. I watched it with Kat, and we watched the first 8 seasons or something like that. And I've never seen the last 2 seasons of it.
Okay. I heard it dropped off.
After Lex left, and they started doing the Teen Titans, basically.
Yeah.
Is when I kind of got out of it.
Yeah.
But the guy that plays Lex, Michael Rosenbaum, has a podcast called Inside of You where he talks about mental health issues with Hollywood actors and his friends.
Oh, okay.
And it's a great podcast.
Sounds interesting.
He's an amazing host and does a really good job. Well, he's really good friends with Tom Welling, of course, because they were on the show for so long together. And they decided to do this thing called Talkville, where they watch an episode and then the two of them will discuss the episode.
Okay.
So you watch the episode, then you watch that correlating episode of Talkville, and I've been doing that quite a bit lately. And it's actually super cool to get their insights. It's really funny to me because they're like, I know nothing about, I'm an actor. I know nothing about comic books or Superman. And so Tom comes at it from the point of view of, historical archetypes and stuff like that. Even though he played Superman, he didn't read the comic books. And then Michael is a big time geek and into all of that kind of comic books. And so he gives that perspective.
I find it interesting. A lot of that stuff, it's kind of funny that what does it say?
He said if shops sell comic capsules, it is a honey hole. We can't buy those here in Europe yet. Comic capsule? What's a comic capsule?
I don't know.
You'll have to tell us what a comic capsule is, Tommy. I got no clue there. Smallville has a Lex Luthor, and I would agree.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
like he built himself as the second best
after Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman.
Yeah,
but I disagree with that.
I thought Gene Hackman was pretty great, but he wasn't Luthor.
I don't think that he was
awesome.
I don't think he was the Lex Luthor for that Superman.
You know who? Okay, you know who would have been a great Lex Luthor?
Clint Eastwood. Oh.
Oh my God, I lost the name now because you said that and just broke my head. Oh my God, Yul Brynner.
Yeah,
it would have been good.
I think that was kind of what they were going for.
Yeah.
The Shawkeyes were going for. But to me, Hackman was too comic relief.
Very comedic. Yeah, very comedic.
Which, for that Superman, and I mean, they changed it up a bit when they took out Kal-El's parents and all that. They took that out. With that added into it, like that was a heavy Superman.
Oh, yeah.
And should be.
And they had, great. I mean, they had that, they had like that crazy stuff where it was, like, oh man, this is serious. We're sending these guys to the Phantom Zone. They're done. I was thinking as a kid, I'm like, oh, they're going to starve to death, man. I'm like, what are they going to do there?
I mean, it was, Superman was heavy. It was dark.
Then they had like, Ned Beatty, like, whoa, Mr. Luthor, what are we gonna do over here? And they just got goofy.
And I think
it was uneven, but it was
that
fun.
Character.
But it was super fun.
I think you keep the Ned Beatty character in and make Lex more serious, not so comedic. Like the henchman, I get.
Maybe. Yeah,
but I mean, I would have went that direction.
But Rosenbaum was great though. I mean, I like I said, I can only judge from multiple viewings of one episode, but he was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think
he came across like that. He was menacing. He seemed like he was smart, and he could do like a criminal empire,
and looks great in drag.
So. Yeah, there you go. But so does Gene Hackman though. Birdcage.
Yeah,
there you go.
Two Gun. Hello, Two Gun.
Hey, dear.
We like Two Gun Pedro. He's cool.
Pew, pew, pew.
Capsule. It's like a CGC plastic case, but you can put your comics inside it yourself.
Huh.
Comic Skin has these, and you can customize your own label. I really like the Comic Skin stuff. If you haven't used them, look them up. If you need some, let me know.
I think there needs to be
more
of that
JG.
Stuff. Where
I think we're there.
Yeah, but I feel like there needs to be more of it.
Well, there's quite a bit out there.
I mean, there is a decent amount, I guess, but they're more like kind of frames, things like that you can hang and things like that. But
the Comic Skins ones look exactly like a CGC slab.
Yeah.
And you just pop them open, you put your book in, you close it, make your own custom label. They're very cool. I like them. I've got.
Well, and then I'm going to put my Amazing Fantasy 15 in there. I'm going to put a 9.8. You'll never see me again.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, look what I got. Well, how come it's falling apart?
Well,
because
EGS Comics, and they're extremely high quality too. They're both UV and IR protective. Like, I've done all the tests on them and ran them under the black lights and all that stuff. Very, very solid product. But EGS Comics, when they got started, that's what they used. They would grade books, put them in those, and put tamper-proof holographic stickers on them.
Yeah.
Which, personally, for me, I think that's the way it should be done. But because I think you should be able to open them at will and take your books out. Like, I can book. I want access to it.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad.
But then you could switch it out and all that kind of stuff, and that's the thing, But if it's tamper-proof, you can tell if it's been opened. If it's just for you, then go ahead and open it up, take a look at it, do whatever. There's no need to have that thing sealed off for the, till the end of the year.
Yeah, I felt really bad. I've got a regular customer, and he spends a few $100s a month getting books pressed, and so he wanted to trade for a portion of that with some old books he knew that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And he had Battlestar Galactica, Planet of the Apes, and we traded those. But he had a Star Wars #1, but it was a CGC 8.0. And like, I can't justify, like, you could sell this today for $250 because it's graded.
Right.
To me, it's worth $35.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to have it graded. I would pop it out as soon as you walk out the door.
Sure. Yeah. And I get that. I'm like that too. So,
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, I don't know. The whole grading thing, again, I'm not a fan, but I don't need to be. It's okay. Everybody collects differently.
Yeah.
It's fine. And that's just the way it goes.
I mean, there are books that I want encapsulated just for archival purposes. I don't care what the grade is.
Mm-hmm.
But,
well, the big problem is, the big problem you run into with stuff like that, right, is like, I would love to have, as time goes on and I get older and, closer to the great beyond.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, okay.
I feel you're not too far from it at all times.
Well, it depends on what day it is. But when I get older and those times come and like, oh, okay, then I would like to get my big key books, graded and slabbed, right? But the problem is, my big key books are worth a lot. So it's going to cost a ton. It's going to cost thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get that stuff. And I don't want to put that kind of money into them. I already have. I already bought them,
And there's a difference there. So what you're talking about is getting them preserved in a way that will hold the highest possible value, because you know what's going to happen to those books if something happens to you.
Yeah.
Your daughter's going to sell them. And dance.
Probably not. Some of them, yeah.
But ultimately that's what
right.
She doesn't really collect, right?
No, she does.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, she's got a collection.
Oh, okay. Because isn't she studying to do something in comic books?
No, she's doing voice acting and acting.
Oh, that's right.
Like that, yeah.
Right. But and there's a lot of people that want them basically so the people that I leave them to can sell them.
Well, and I'm doing that right now with someone.
Yeah.
We talked about those issues last week.
Right.
And I'm still going to talk to them and say, hey, this is what we can do. It's going to cost a little extra for this. It's going to cost a little extra for that. Or I can just get them sold like as is, because I know probably 3 people that will buy those books like that.
Yeah, they'd be gone already.
Yeah. And they'd be out of here. Granted, you got to get the best offer on him. You got to get the best deal, for him. But man, I'm really going to kind of almost push him towards just sell them as is. You know, I mean, it's
that's tough when you're talking about that caliber of book, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
let's go for example at Fantastic Four #1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what books you're talking about. I know they're high caliber, but a Fantastic Four #1 you can sell for a few thousand. But if you get it graded and get anything above a 7.5, you're getting hundreds of thousands. Like, no, it's up there, and will potentially in 6 months to a year be a $500,000 book.
Well, maybe.
And there's enough people that pay attention to what Marvel and Disney are doing that as soon as we get closer to Fantastic Four release,
I don't think that movie's going to do as well as everybody thinks it is.
Oh, it's going to bomb, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to do as well. The more I read about it, the more I see about it, the less confidence
I mean, look at Silver Surfer. Like, they announced the Silver Surfer yesterday, and that book's going insane.
But it's not Silver Surfer.
It doesn't matter.
I know, that's the thing.
That's what doesn't matter.
Man, really, come on.
I mean, this is what drives prices.
Well, I know that. I know.
That's right. But we're getting away. We're getting away from collectors and more into investors.
Yeah,
for sure.
But we're also moving away from the whole. Oh man, well, let's see. They talked about Ghost in Iron Man, so everybody is gonna. Ghost was in the Iron Man, one of the Iron Man movies, or not Iron Man, Ant-Man. So that Iron Man issue is going through the roof. We're not quite doing that anymore,
right?
With these minor characters and with the little cameos and stuff like that, and because they're bringing everybody out of the woodwork.
Yeah, there was a retcon of the week for a long time. Yeah. Everybody was in here every Wednesday. People would dive into the long boxes because somebody showed up on the new Hawkeye series, or somebody was announced for
not quite
Avengers
line anymore. Yeah, the only thing we're seeing that with that's really held anything like that first appearance of Ghost is worth like maybe $5 more than it was before she showed up or he showed up. But I mean, the only one that's really held on to value like that I've seen is the U.S. agent stuff.
And
Captain America.
There's a few reasons for that. I mean, I think
it's not just a TV show.
I think as a film character, that's a compelling character that we want to see more of for sure. As a comic book character, all of that U.S. agent stuff is a great read.
It's a great story.
Yeah, it's a fantastic storyline.
And with him showing up in the Thunderside Squad. I'm sorry, the Thunderbolt. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. I just made that up. I like that. With him showing up in that as well, and basically, I guess he's kind of leading it, right?
Right.
Which is a weird choice, but whatever.
With Elaine Bennett.
I don't care. I like her. I don't care about the character. I like her.
Well. I don't. Yeah. I agree with that. I don't care much for the character.
She's I don't know if I like the character that much. She's a good actor. I like her.
Yeah. She was the best part of Christmas Vacation.
God, yes. Chad. Yeah, you got a tree out there. Is that a chainsaw? Yeah, that was hilarious. But you don't really see that stuff happening anymore.
Yeah.
Not as much, I should say. There it still is, but not as much as it was.
All right. So my wife has informed me that I have to cut this to our actual time.
Okay.
Because she's got meetings tonight. We're going to a drag bar. So I think that is a great segue, a great idea for a topic. I am really interested in how the hobby has changed in the last few years. Like we've definitely got, whether you want to admit it or not, there's some of you out there that are denying it. We have gone through a crash. It has happened.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
It is the tail end of it. It's starting to get better.
Starting to get a lot better.
But it is definitely, I mean, down. If you should see my orders, my numbers on books from 3 years ago to today.
Oh yeah.
There's no comparison.
So
no comparison. Like pre-COVID DC stuff compared to now. Oh God, not even close. A fraction. I'm selling a fraction of that stuff because it's all Batman. But it is starting to come back up, which is nice. And even if you don't think that that's happened, if you own a shop or if you're in that industry in any way, it's happened.
Yeah,
It's happened
for sure. And I was discussing this with Joe Fox, good friend of the channel. Check him out on YouTube as well. That it's kind of starting to come around. He's in Japan. He said it's a little bit slower on the pickup there, but Australia is doing well. The American UK markets are starting to rebound a bit, coming back to a normal, which is, we called that 3 years ago when we first started this.
Yep.
I would be very curious. Please leave a comment down below, and we'll address it next week. How has the hobby changed since COVID? So from 2020 till now, the ups and downs, your views on it, how you think it peaked, it crashed, the cause for these things, and we can have that discussion next week.
It's almost an iceberg of causes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's the thing about this. In the 90s, you could just say they got greedy, too much stuff.
Yeah.
Overprint.
So this time you can't just throw out Clayton Crane and call it a day. No, give us
yeah, exactly. You
give us something.
COVID. No. Okay. CGC. Okay. No. Variants. No. It's all plays a part of it.
Right.
But sure. I think it would be interesting to kind of look at the comments and see, put your top 3 reasons on there.
Yeah.
Let's see what that looks like for everybody.
Yeah, so leave us a comment and we'll shout you out and we'll include you in the conversation. We want to get more of that going on. I did throw up a book here. This is the Black Cat exclusive cover by Sean Von Gorman. If you're not, do you follow him on Facebook? You don't pay attention to social media. He posts like some hilarious shit.
Oh, he's funny.
So he's a great guy. Good friend of the shop. Good friend of the show. If you would like if you're a Trekkie and you want one of these, contact me, contact Greg. We'll make sure we can get one out to you. So, right on. Yeah. Go to Greg's eBay.
Yeah, Black Cat SLC is what it is.
Right on. Go grab some of these. It's a must-have in your collection. Very cool book, and it is a very cool book. It's a great story as well. And make sure you leave comments. Let us know your thoughts on next week's subject. How collecting has changed in the last few years. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell. Until you get notified whenever we drop a new show. Those are my keys.
Cool.
All right. And we'll see you later, traders.
Bye.
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 No, just really free.